shimmering heat haze over the city of Marrakech. Temperatures a long way shy of the 40+ degrees and 50+ degrees of track temperature that we've had previously. Engineer Paul gives James Nash a quick handshake. James Nash starting 10th on the grid in race 1. The Team Aon Ford driver will be our pole sitter for race 2. And for Ford, that's a big boost. They've come to a circuit that really suits the car, and you take it where you can. Thiago Montero's dad there. His son looked a little off the pace throughout qualifying, really. Got a quick run this morning in morning warm-up. I wonder whether they've been playing with the setup and he's finally found something that works for him over the curbs, because that is the secret here, Harry. Yeah, it's the key, and as we've discussed over the weekend so far, it's so hard on the dampers of the cars, and you're hitting these curbs so hard, you having to just throw the car into them, and it's bending all sorts of stuff, damaging dampers and overloading the suspension, which we've seen 3 or 4 failures on BMWs, and we know that the Seats and all of the manufacturers are struggling with reliability on components, and it's a shame. It's a great circuit this to have this event on, but it's a shame that they've put these curbs in, because as Alain Menu said yesterday, the curbs it's not something you can necessarily gain a lot of time on, but it's something you can lose time on by not having that level of commitment, and it will make for exciting racing, but probably for the wrong reasons when you see people damaging their cars and crashing into the walls as a result. But I suppose that kind of does make things a little bit exciting. Well, you've got to have the chicanes to slow them down, and if the chicanes don't slow them down, then it doesn't really work, does it? Tom Chilton, the second Team Aon Ford, he starts on the inside of row 4 of the grid. 7th place with Franz Sengster's BMW alongside him, and of course that means that they will start on row 2 in the reversed top 10 grid for race 2. So it'll be James Nash on pole position, Tom Chilton 4th place at the start for race 2. So both Team Aon Ford drivers will be really looking forward to that. Bad news, or a disaster at Team Aon Ford we discovered this morning. Their frothy coffee machine has gone US, but on the upside, they have got pole for race 2. So on balance, still a relatively good morning. Yeah, exactly. Could be worse. It could be worse. Could be worse, yeah. They could have lost the ordinary coffee jug as well. That would have just been terrible. Alex McDowell then, again at Monza, really quick here. First time at this track, like all the World Touring Car tracks this year, and he's really gelled with it. I mean, right from the beginning of practice, he seems to be going very quickly. Obviously, not an awful lot of street racing in British Touring Car Championship, so where he found that ability, goodness only knows. But we do know that that Chevrolet is good over the curves as well, so that will certainly have helped him. And Pepe Oriola, well, last year as a 16-year-old, a raw rookie, his first in World Touring Cars. This is his first time in Marrakech, but he is definitely this year looking like a very much improved driver over last year. He's really got his teeth into that car. Yeah, it's like he's come of age since the start of the season. He's really found some form, and you know, I'm sure this isn't out of place, but he didn't really do that much last year. But obviously, like you say, he was a really young lad, and this year he just seems to have found some form from somewhere, and he's been on fire all season. Well, you know how it is with drivers or any other athletes. You get experience, you get a bit of a good result, you get some confidence. The confidence gives you another good result, and it all builds. It builds. And you know, that seems to be what's happening to him. We saw Ivan Muller 4th on the grid. We're at the pointy end now with Tom Coronel 3rd fastest, and you know what? 5 minutes from the end of qualifying, we were just sitting there going, no, surely a BMW can't end up on pole position here, because this track just does not suit them. And in the end, the very final minute of qualifying, he was pipped to the front row of the grid. Always good to see the teams sending little messages via Eurosport's coverage of the World Touring Car Championship. Rob Huff starts on the outside the front row of the grid, and we were talking to his dad Peter this morning, a little bit disappointed not to take pole position. It was an epic lap from teammate Alain Menu, but we did say, you know, it's 28 thousandths of a second. That is literally a few centimetres. We're at the top of the building there, just overlooking the start-finish line. There's Eric Neve wearing the traditional bow tie for Chevrolet, starting on pole position. The bow tie is the traditional slang name for the Chevrolet logo that you can see in gold on the car. And it will be Alain Menu who starts on pole position for race 1. Of course, he'll be 10th on the race 2 grid, but at the moment it's all about trying to beat his teammate into the first corner and do a Nico Rosberg run away at the front of this race.
Japan quality. Yokohama, your tire.
Morocco, the country that travels within you.
If you're going go-kart, get a Dino. After 50 years in the business, Dino go-karts are still some of the best in the world. See more on dino.dk.
ATS high-tech wheels, world champions with Chevrolet.
Next we're moving on. She's with me, yeah me. I love rock and roll. Putting on the time if you like me. I love rock and roll. Putting on the time if you like, baby. I love rock and roll.
Renault Scenic Collection 2012. Fathers will always be men.
People who know use Valvoline.
Field heading through the streets of Marrakech. Building work all around us, new apartments, new hotels springing up close to the walls of the royal compound, and we ride on board with our world champion Yvan Muller. Well, after the qualifying points, Rob Huff in fourth position, tying with Tom Coronel now on points, because Coronel was just one place behind him on the grid. Aluminium 5 points further up. But Yvan Muller with a decent championship lead still. What the championship needs is for Muller not to score strongly for the next couple of weekends. Of course, what the Frenchman needs is to continue racking up the points the way he has. He's had 3 wins out of 4 races so far, Yvan Muller. That's what you call a start to the season. However, if he wins this one, it won't have come easy. Gabriele Tarquini, 12th place. Now, he slipped to 5th in the points over the last weekend, so he really needs to try and get what he can out of this first race and the second here in Marrakech. It's not going to be easy. There are possibly harder places to pass, but I'm not too sure I can think of them.
No, it is very difficult here. The only one thing you can do, which is quite good, is you can get a bit of a slipstream from the car ahead of you and try and outbrake them in the chicanes. But normally, if they can do a good enough job of defending it on the way in, they can compromise your exit as well. So it is quite a difficult place to overtake. Well,
we saw epic amounts of overtaking in yesterday's Auto GP race, so we will hope for lots of excitement from the touring cars as well. If the Auto GP guys can run wheel to wheel through corners 4, 5 and 6, then perhaps these guys will get away with it safely as well. Pepe Oriola leads the Yokohama Independence Trophy ahead of Stefano Dasti, Norbert Michelis and Franz Engsler. Alex McDowell, who is one of 3 leaders of that series after Monza, in 5th position, and also looking to try and get back up to the championship lead here. He starts right behind Oriola, or right alongside, in fact, row 3 of the grid, the top independents. Again, Harry shows just how strong the independent category is. The cars are the same, it's just the drivers are not factory funded.
Yeah, it's testing which is the main difference between a manufacturer driver and an independent. You know, they can be out in the car every week, and that's not an option for most independent teams.
Heading down to the hairpin then, we are getting ready for the start of round 5 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. The lights are on red. Will they get a nice clean start? Who's in line? Everybody at the moment is just about in line. And closest to the camera with the red roof is Alain Menu. Great start from Pepe Oriola, comes alongside Tom Coronel. Coronel's getting squeezed by Oriola on the left and Muller on the right, and Oriola might get ahead of Muller into the braking area. They swing out left, but then it's a right-hand apex as we look at it, and it is Menu from Huff and Muller and Oriola. And Coronel shoved in a sandwich there. He's been bumped all the way down the order, and sideways is James Nash, and into him goes Mehdi Benani. Now they're going to have to spin turn those cars We've got another minute and a half before they need to be out of the way of the leaders. It's Menu from Huff and Muller and Oriola, and Coronel's coming back and gets tapped by Alex McDowell into the braking area. McDowell with a big lock-up, and Coronel sideways. McDowell's off, through goes Chilton. So Chilton's picked up 2 places there. And that was just Alex McDowell losing it on the dirty side of the track. Chevrolet 1, 2, 3, Oriola 4th, Daste 5th, Chilton's Ford in 5th position, yellow flags out of the first chicane, Montero's up to 6th, Engstler 7th, Tarquini is in 8th place ahead of Norbert Michaelis and Darrow Young with some accident damage, and James Nash needs to get back to the pits and get that car fixed, because he's going to be the man on pole for race 2 if it's serviceable. Safety car is out because Nash's car, it seems, Harry, can't move under its own steam.
Yeah, maybe a broken upright or something if that's the case. It looked like he just got tagged on the way in and turned around, and fairly eventful first lap, it's fair to say.
Yeah, fairly eventful first corner. There's quite a quick run down to the first chicane and especially to the second chicane, corners 4 and 5. And the Team A on Ford are waiting and hoping that the car will be fixable. Of course, they have the whole of this race in which they can legally do anything they like as long as the car gets back to the pits.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then they're going to have to take it out of Parc Fermé and fix it, and that means putting him off pole and to the back of the grid.
Yeah, upright or something broken there.
Well, let's have a look again at the start. Pepe Oriola on the right-hand side getting squeezed up against the pit wall by Tom Coronel, but still gets through. This is down into the first chicane, corners 1, 2 and 3. Coronel on the outside. McDowell got a good start in his Chevrolet. And this is on board into the back of Tom Coronel, down the inside. Oh, wow, that was with Pepe Oriola. Wasn't much room there. That was a really strong move.
Couldn't have got much more down the side of there, I don't think. That probably was the end of his wing mirror, a little bit rubbed.
Coronel there, safely through 1, 2 and 3. Everybody hopping the curbs, and it was Engstler that turned Nash around. He got sideways into the side, trying to take the curbs. And then McDowell, Coronel was sideways before McDowell locked up. They were both on the dirty side of the track, Harry, and both lost it.
It looks, from that view, almost like Alex has tagged the back of him, but I think it looks, from the view we saw before, like Coronel's locked up the back end and Alex has just had a BMW going sideways in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you see on board, look at the cockpit filling with tyre smoke as Alex locks up as well. And there's one of the Pro Team BMWs heading back with some damage as well. Lots of damage on Mehdi Banani's car, but at least it's moving. And very disappointingly for Team A on Ford, no sign of James Nash being able to drive his car, because with a front-wheel drive car, when the wheels are pointing inwards with broken steering, then you're in real trouble. Lots of skid marks there down to the chicane. Well, is Banani going to have to come into the pits? I rather fear he might with all that damage. On board with Coronel. The car was wagging its tail on him on the dirty side of the track.
Well, that's the trouble with these street circuits. It can, just offline, it can get that bit of dust, and there has been a clear race this morning, but it may not have, been enough to clear the dust away. And
might just have moved the dust around. I think they're fairly random with their racing lines as well. So safety cars should come in this lap. Alamenu leads from Rob Huff and Ivan Muller. Pepe Oriola top independent from Stefano Daste. Tom Chilton in 6th position. Then Montero, Engstler, Tarquini 9th, Michaelis in 10th spot.
Darrell Young's got a bit of damage as well. I think it was Darrell who got into Banani, or something happened there, so there's a little bit of damage on the front of his car, so see if that'll make it.
Well, Young is in 11th, teammate Tom Bourman in 13th in the turbo diesel. And our safety car driver will pull in at the end of the straight, so he will get the Camaro rocking. Safety car lights go off at the end of sector 2. Bruno Correa floors the throttle in the Chevy Camaro, and Alamenu will start to slow the field down to 80 kilometers an hour and get ready for the rolling restart to get things back underway. So here we go, end of lap 2 of what is now a 12-lap race. And Alamenu restarts with Rob Huff and Ivan Muller in his wheel tracks. Good restart by Menu. Lots of debris on the circuit being fluttered around in the slipstream as the cars come flying by. Nobody pulling out a line in the background, so nobody making moves at the moment. An awful lot more straightforward through the first 3 corners this time, as they again pick up speed heading down to turn 4. 140 miles an hour plus into the braking area here, Harry, so it's a very high speed approach, and as you can see, pretty bumpy.
Yeah, it's a big stop, and you can, like you said, you can see, look at the roofs of the cars bouncing around there.
Norbert Michaelis attacking Darrell O'Young for 11th place. He gets through. Tom Boardman under pressure. Charles Eng was behind him. He gets through under braking as well. So good move from the Chinese driver. One Chinese driver goes back, one Chinese driver comes up, and they'll be nose to tail in a minute or two. And that is that's Isaac Tutumlu facing the wrong way. So his pro team car has got damage as well. Both of them are damaged, him and Benani.
That looked a little bit terminal, I think. I don't know if that's going to be moving again. Bits hanging off the front and the back.
Whoa! Tom Chilton really flying the curbs there. So too was Gabriele Tarquini. I don't think I've ever seen Tarquini take a curb quite so aggressively there. The red and white Lucol Seat on the back of that cube. Chilton attacking Daste. Well, we saw Daste's car in qualifying, breaking a drive shaft or suspension or something over the curbs. Chilton will know about that as well. We're trying to pile the pressure on the BMW to make it hit the ramps hard and try and break something. On board with Tom Coronel, behind Darrell O'Young. This the battle for 12th place then, as Alain Menu clearing off from Rob Huff. 144.9 to 145.4 last time round. 0.6 of a second quicker on that lap alone than teammate Huff.
Yeah, it was a mega restart that Menu had there, which is what he'll need to try and put a little bit of air between him and his two teammates, and he'll be hoping they're going to have to fight it out, and obviously he can disappear off into the sunset.
I'll tell you what, Menu really is doing a Rosberg. He is cantering away at the head of this field, and in comes Mehdi Benani, and that is no surprise, I'm afraid. Lots of damage there. Heavily waved yellow flags with a forklift truck facing you at the exit of the braking area. You do not want to need to use that runoff area, and nobody is making a move down into the chicane.
That looked a little bit optimistic where that was placed, to be honest. I mean, you don't really need that as you're heading towards it. But
well, I wonder if that's to try and remove James Nash's car. There's no sign of it yet coming into the pit lane. Nash has disappeared from our timing screens onto page 2, and he is not in the pits. So I'm afraid that's a very devastating blow for James Nash and the Ford team. It means they cannot work on the car for more than about 10 minutes, and that looked like more than 10 minutes work to be done. It's not impossible. Remember Franz Engstler in Germany last year. Front end was wrecked on the last lap of race 1. He was the pole sitter for race 2. It looked an impossible task. They somehow managed to fit a new radiator and front end on the car. I wonder whether you can do the steering or not. Tom Chilton looking at Daste up the inside. Oh, yes. Robbins Racing, he goes through on the inside. That was a good pass. Used the brakes well. That's the battle for 5th. Paul Ridgway watching his driver there. And has Chilton made it stick? He has. He's up to 5th.
Yeah, it was a nice move up the inside on the brakes. I think Daste might be a little bit warm about it, but it looked fair enough to me.
Well, the other thing, of course, is Daste is not battling Chilton. He's battling Oriola, because they're looking for Yokohama trophy points rather than overall positions, although, of course, he doesn't want a car between him and Pepe Oriola. That was a good move by Chilton, and clean enough. You can see both cars have still got their mirrors as Montero starts to pull off. He was 7th, and there's clearly a problem with the car.
That looks like suspension. It looks like it's crabbing a little bit. There's that digger again. He's trying to get involved in this race, I think.
So has Tiago damaged something on the curbs? It's still Isaac Tutumlu's car that's immobile there. Yellow flags are out in sector 2, turn 4. That's the first part of that chicane. And again, see Oriola fly the curbs. A little neater behind him from the Ford of Tom Chilton.
Chilton's flying, actually. He seems to be catching right up with Oriola straight away, and Oriola won't be liking the idea of that, I don't think.
Well, Oriola's last lap, a 145.6, Chilton's a 145.7. Very little between them. Chilton has just set the fastest first sector in the race of anyone. Whoa! So you ride on board with Tarquini, it looks like a rallycross car, doesn't it? The thing bouncing in the air all over the place.
Definitely, and I think that looking at Montero's car, Montero, it looked like he's damaged the suspension from exactly those curb strikes that we were just talking about. He throws the car all over the place.
may well be the case. Now look at this. 1, 2, 3 Chevrolet, and then the blue and white cars. Oriola is being caught rapidly by Chilton, and Menu just gets his wheels over inside the curb, but he has been run down as well by Huff. Huffy's now set the fastest lap of the race at 1 minute 44.9, and that would have been good enough for the top 12 in qualifying, and they're in race trim, don't forget, with about 15 laps worth of fuel on board, maybe 12 laps still remaining on board. So Menu's gap now is below a second to Huff. He's in the DRS zone. Not that they have it, obviously, although that would be fun. And Huff is pulling away from Muller as Chilton challenges Oriola. What are we seeing here? On the inside, Di Sabatino, Dudicalo running into the back of Jeba Lacey. And Chilton there, not quite close enough to make a move on Pepe Oriola, but certainly enough to think about a move on Pepe Oriola. One mistake by the Spaniard, and Chilton will be all over him like a rash. Down the straight they race as Thiago Montero's coming in. Is it engine? Is it suspension? It's something. Chilton is in the slipstream. He is really hauling up behind Oriola. He's using the power of the Seat to pull him along in the air.
Yeah, look how close he is now.
Oh, great aviating by Tom.
Yeah, the Ford's quick in the straight line as well. He was second in the speed trap, in that speed trap that we just saw him through this morning. So Oriola's got his work cut out here, and he won't want Chilton to pass him because that'll open the door for Daste as well. And as you mentioned, that's the battle that he's concerned about. He doesn't want to lose any independent points.
Well, I looked at the outright speeds in qualifying, and actually Nash and Chilton were never in the top 6 in any of the sectors in terms of outright speed, sort of in the top 12, but never in the top half dozen even. So it's not the quickest thing in the straight line yet, but what it does do, as we've seen, is allow Tom to attack the chicanes very aggressively. Michael, the team boss there with the white hair in the centre, they're having a bit of a discussion about what to do, I think, with James Nash. They're going to let Tom Chilton race as high up the order here as he can. Meanwhile, on board with Tom Coronel, up behind Darrell O'Young. This is for 10th and points then in the championship. And again, the Seat riding the curbs better than the BMW. As soon as your front wheels touch down in a front-wheel drive car, you can drive on. You have to wait for the BMW's rear wheels to land and gain traction. And Chilton under pressure from Dastain now. So I wonder whether Chilton's car has decided it's not liking the curbs quite so much now, whether one of the dampers has got a little soft on him. He's certainly struggling. It sounds like front suspension for Thiago Montero was the issue. Maybe the case as well for Tom Chilton.
Yeah, maybe he could have maybe just made a little mistake there, but he was right on the back of Oriola, we saw before, and seems to have dropped quite a bit all of a sudden, so maybe you're right.
Well, the other issue that he had in qualifying was because he was hitting the curbs so high, it was giving the engine oil surge, and the engine monitors were going, oh, no oil pressure, we're going to reduce the boost, reduce the spark, and go into get you home mode fractionally. Then when the oil pressure came back up, and this is all fractions of a second, it would go, oh no, sorry, you're you're okay. But the engine was stuttering and cutting, and I wonder whether that's happening as well, because he suddenly lost a lot of ground there to Pepe Oriola.
Yeah.
It may be that issue is not yet completely ironed out of the software.
Yeah, very possibly.
In which case, he'll just have to be a little more judicious with the curbs. Muller pulls out of the slipstream. Interesting. I wonder if he's worried about air temperatures.
Trying to avoid the bags as well.
Oh, and Di Sabatino and Dudicalo get tangled up in the braking area. Alberto Cecchi had just gone by Pasquale. And Pasquale, well, that was... I don't think intentional by either driver. They just fell over each other there, unfortunately. He and Alexei Dudicalo.
Yeah, it's one of those things, but on those bumps you could just see the car squirming a little bit, and it's the same for them both. They probably didn't intend to do that, but the Chevrolet seem to look like they bunched up a little bit before, but it seems like the gap's opened out again. Tom
Boardman under pressure from Alberto Cecchi. Alberto in the same team, the Royal Motorsport team, as Tom Coronel, who lies just one place in front of this battle, actually, after starting third. Cecchi had an engine change overnight, and because it's already established engine, the BMW, like the Chevrolet, that's a penalty. New Seat engine they can change at will until Hungary, I think. Boardman fights back on the exit. Can he race it, Tom? He understands cut and thrust well, doesn't he? And meanwhile, here's Coronel, who's in front of Darrell O'Young now, in 10th place, Tom Coronel.
I wonder if Coronel's struggling with some damage from that slide sideways across the curb earlier on, because he seems to be struggling a little bit back there. He doesn't have the pace that he's had all weekend.
Yeah, good point. 1:45.8 is his current lap. That's his best. Leader's best is 1:44.9. Thiago Monteiro drive shaft as well. And the reason for that, of course, is that you're articulating the suspension so much. At some stage, it's obviously gone so high or on so much droop that it's just popped the drive shaft out over a curb.
Yeah, and a lot of these where they're running out, they're bouncing off one curb and bouncing into another, and they're on power, it just snags each drive shaft. Oh, that was a bit of a moment.
Checky up the inside of Boardman. So Checky, Boardman, McDowell and Barlacy. Good little scrap for these four drivers, and Checky has worked his way nicely up from the back row of the grid. He was 21st on the grid, and he is now in 11th place. I beg your pardon, he's now in 12th place, so that's a big improvement. That's 9 spots he's made up.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. He has showed some streaks of good pace, and obviously he's Tom Coronel's teammate, so we've seen that BMW working well in the hands of Tom Coronel, so they've probably got a similar kind of setup on them.
Coronel up to 10th, Checky up to 12th, Coronel from 3rd, Checky from 21st. They sort of met in the middle from opposite ends of the grid almost.
You could see the pace difference on the straight there between McDowell and Boardman. Boardman went out to defend, and McDowell was able to just go around the outside of him.
Chilton defending here against Daste. He hasn't got anything in top line speed against the BMW, but he has got track position. Again, being a little bit more judicious with the curbs. I wonder if that is still that recurring problem after qualifying. Engstler's right there as well. This is 5th, 6th, 7th, and Tarquini 8th place. Of course, in the old World Touring Car Championship ways, that would have Gabrielli on pole for race 2. So I sort of wish that was coming back, where you could improve from a problem after qualifying. Here, if you have a problem in qualifying, you've got a problem for the whole weekend. I'm not sure I'm really so keen on that, on the new system.
Certainly kept the fight alive for longer, didn't it?
Yeah. And McDowell all over Checky. Alex McDowell really recovering strongly from that incident earlier on. He'll be really kicking himself for that, because he had a great opportunity to get second place points in the Independence Trophy. Looking inside Alberto Checky, or outside as it is now when they get to the hairpin at the end, and up the inside goes Barlacy. He passes Tom Boardman as well. So Barlacy up from 15th now to 13th place in 1 lap. That's 2 spots. Boardman slipping back down the order. Maybe the edge has gone off the turbo diesel's performance.
Ivan Muller's just set the fastest race lap of the race so far, which shows that the degradation of these tyres around here is so minimal.
Oh, and Alberto Checky has undone all his good work. Yellow flags as Barlacy and Boardman go free. Alberto hopping over the curbs. Good avoidance by Alex McDowell, trying to guess which way the BMW was going to end up going.
That's exactly that problem we were talking about with the BMWs, just bouncing off the curbs. They just can't quite get on the power, and that's what turned him around there by the looks of things.
Stefano Daste now in front of Tom Chilton. Daste up to 5th place, Chilton in the top 6 still. And without looking in the notebooks, I can't tell you if that's the best result or not for Ford, but Chilton drifting out wide through the long left-handed corner 6, and that made it easy meet for Stefano Daste. Coronel now up behind Norbert Mikulis, and the Hungarian driver in that orange and black Zengo Motorsport BMW, just a little bit off form this weekend, just really can't quite get the car working the way he wants. Different damper set up to, or different damper manufactured to Coronel's car. Maybe it's all in that.
Yeah, dampers are a crucial part of these cars, and I was talking to him earlier on, and he said they've tried raising it, lowering it, different springs, harder, softer, and nothing seems to be helping it. So it could be that it's got a different type of blow-off valve, or not even one at all.
Tom Chilton's Aeon Ford under pressure now from Franz Engstler for 6th position. Engstler currently lying 3rd in the Yokohama Trophy behind leader Oriola and Stefano Daste, who's 2nd in those points. And Coronel looking to get by Mikulis. He gets points for 10th, he gets more points for 9th, Tom Coronel. He doesn't want to lose ground any more with the championship leaders than is possible. He's the best non-Chevy at the moment in 4th place. Whoa, 3 wide as Monteiro goes across the grass, or grasscrete. Monteiro back out with a new drive shaft then, just making sure that everything's fixed, ready for race 2. Well, there you see Engsler with the German flag on going by Tom Chilton, and I think the front end of Chilton's car is really struggling to hang on now. He's got Tarquini behind him as well. Engsler is up to 6th. Tarquini wants 7th from Boardman, and McDowell is not far behind. On board with Tom Chilton as Franz Engsler takes the run down the inside. And did it look to you as though Chilton was letting him go?
Maybe it's difficult to tell. Maybe Engsler just popped out on the brakes, and it's at that point, if you're in Tom's position, there's no point turning across because it's too late. You're on the outside for the long left-hander, so he may have just decided that there's not it's a fight which is over.
Alamenu leads from Rob Huff and Ivan Muller. Fastest race lap now for Pepe Oriola. Nothing wrong with the front end of his Seat as we see Alberto Cerchi battling with Alex Dudicalo. And that is the squabble now for 15th place. So Cerchi, having got up into the top 12, is now dropping back down. Coronel's got some debris in the radiator grille. That won't be helping. Jago Montero several laps down. He's in 19th place, 5 laps back. So the fact that he's running with the front runners is just to make sure that the car works realistically to the end. Leaders are on the last lap. Menu, Huff, Muller being kept honest by the presence of Pepe Oriola in the Seat. Then a yawning gap back to Stefano D'Aste, Franz Engsler. And then there's this queue behind Gabriele Tarquini. Coronel goes through past Tarquini, no problem at all.
I wonder what's...
Right behind is Pasquale Di Sabatino. Now Di Sabatino is a lap down, so that's going to add confusion. On board tells us nothing. Tarquini's pulling over. Tarquini is pulling over. Through has gone Coronel. Through has gone Mikulits. Montero has gone by him, but he's several laps down. Young has picked up a place as well. So Tarquini was 8th. He'll now be out of the points at the end of the race. And look in the background how close to Muller still Oriola is as they get to the hairpin for the last time. It is going to be victory for Alamenu. He won the last race in Valencia. He wins again. 2 on the bounce for the Swiss. Takes the first race here in Marrakech. Huff 2nd, Muller 3rd, Oriola 4th, as close as you like. 7/10 of a second cover the top 4. D'Aste, the second independent, in 5th ahead of Engsler. Chilton in 7th place, and in 8th place will be Tom Coronel. 9th Norbert Mikulis, 10th place Daryl Young, and way out the back Gabriele Tarquini, who slowed dramatically on the last lap, and that is as good as an overall win at the moment for Pepe Oriola's dad and his crew. They're very happy with that. He wins the Yokohama Trophy again. That's his 3rd win in Yokohama Trophy.
I wonder what happened to Tarquini there. He's going to be gutted that happened right at the very last lap.
Yeah. Alberto Cerchi just hanging on there behind Tom Boardman. That is 14th, 15th and 16th across the line. Alexei Dudicalo couldn't benefit from that big tail slide. And look, Tarquini's pulled off at the pit exit. The car will go no further. Drive shaft?
Could be. It's got that kind of written on it. He's able to finish, but not to go no further. And obviously that was a crawl home.
Well, there is James Nash's car down at the side of the track. This PR man Ben with him, not going to be able to put much of a spin on that, but Tarquini as well. Looks like his car will need to come out of Parc Fermé to make race 2, in which case he'll be back off the grid. So, race 1 winner in Marrakech is Alamenu of Switzerland for Chevrolet. And he won the 2nd encounter in Valencia just a couple of weeks ago. So he is on a roll at the moment. Hasn't had particularly good qualifying. Monza, he was 4th on the grid. Valencia outside the top 5. Pole here though, his 2nd race win in a row. Ivan Muller offers his congratulations. We talked a little bit earlier about confidence and what that helps to do with your performance, and clearly Menu is in a good place right now with himself.
Yeah, definitely. You just see the confidence, and it's like we said before, you get one, he's got a new engineer this year, and maybe it's a bit of a breath of fresh air. You know, not that there's anything wrong with John, who was his engineer for a long time before, but sometimes a little change can just breed a bit more confidence, and you know, you can have a fresh start. And he seems to be, you know, this year he's on good form.
Well, you saw how excited his new engineer was in Valencia to win their first race together on the second race weekend. Was fantastic, and clearly Alain with all his boys, you know, they're all part of the big Chevrolet team. They all work for RML, but they all have their own driver, and it's a tight-knit little unit. And of course they're thrilled when their guy wins. Alain nearly does bump into the camera.
It's like all these teams, like you say, it's very much three teams within one team. You know, they all want their driver to do well, which is understandable, and that's why there's such competition within each individual team. Your closest rival is your own teammate, so you know you have to beat them.
And particularly at Chevrolet, because it does seem as though they still have the best kit on the grid. And so these three guys, unless something very interesting happens later in the season, one of them is likely to end up being the 2012 world champion, and they know it. Well, Ben Constantinos is down there in Parc Fermé, so let's catch up with our race winners.
In total control of that race, lights to flag victory for Alain. Congratulations. Tell us how hard that was.
It's always easier to lead from the front, you know. Well, I guess when you lead, you're at the front. So, yeah, and I mean, the car was really good, you know. The Chevrolet was fantastic. So I would not say I was pacing myself, but I was just keeping a little bit of a margin under every braking to make sure not to make a mistake. And great, I'm very happy.
Congratulations.
And for the boys, you know, it's great.
And fourth position overall, and fastest lap of the race, Pepe. Really up the pace with the Chevrolets. That must be very impressive for you.
Yeah, it was a perfect race for me. I had a very, very good start. I was able to overtake Tom, and after the safety car, Dusty was just behind me, and is my opponent in the Yokohama Trophy. And after on the final of the race, I was very, very hard. It was minus the gap with Ivan, and maybe if I had more laps, I can fight with him. But for me, fourth position of the overall and first of independent is perfectly.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, we'd all like to see some slightly longer races. I think that would really kind of allow a little bit of a different look to develop. Well, there's the big story for race one, though. That and the failure of Gabriele Tarquini's car in the last lap. James Nash, you can see him in the race suit there, just walking up towards the truck on the left of your shot. His car abandoned after lap one, and up on our screens has come notification that Franz Engstler will be investigated after the race. It was him that jumped the chicane and centre punched Nash very firmly into the wall. As it is, though, the result of the race sees Engstler in 6th position at the moment. Menu, Huff and Muller. It's an all-Chevrolet podium. And Menu converting pole position, his first of the season, into victory. And if I could find the right piece of paper, I would tell you that I think is win number 14 of his career. Harry, fill the gap while I find the facts.
Yeah, well, no, you're right. I mean, obviously, Alain, as he said, he started from pole and he led throughout the entire race. So, you know, he said it himself. It's to start there, it's easier to finish there, but you've still got to hang on, and you've got your teammates pushing hard behind you. You can't give them any respite. You can't back off it all. Before you know what's happened, you'll be getting attacked yourself.
It's win number 19 for Alain Menu. He's now one ahead of Rob Huff, who was tied on 18 with him, and the winningest driver is on the back seat. Ivan Muller has 24 World Touring Car career victories. Well, Pepe Oriola will join them on the podium as the winner of the Yokohama Trophy. And in championship points now, the gap is down to 14 as Menu closes up a little on leader Ivan Muller. Rob Huff 26 behind. Coronel remains 4th. Tarquini remains 5th. Oriola climbs to 6th ahead of Daste. And Engstler moves up as well into 8th position in the championships. In fact, he was in 8th after qualifying, so I'm not sure how he moves up. Oriola was 9th. Norbert Michelis slips down the order from 7th position. Ricardo Riedel taking no further part in the championship. Alex McDowell in the end, after an enthusiastic start, finishing only in 12th position, but gains Yokohama Trophy points for 6th. So, not too much carnage, but what there was very damaging for those involved. James Nash particularly, and big question mark again remaining over the car of Gabriele Tarquini after it seemed to suffer a major failure on the final lap.
It'd be interesting to see that incident with Coronel McDowell again, because it looks different from the different views you see it. I think you need to see it. There was one view which looked like Coronel lost it in front of Alex, and the other one looks like Alex hit him, but it is hard to tell from what
I think the alternate angle definitely showed us that Coronel was going sideways under braking long before McDowell got into the back of him, and I would think that with that evidence, the fact that the others aren't quite as clear will probably hold in Alex's favour. I don't think there was any contact until Coronel was already in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. I think we'd have seen him under investigation by now if there had been initial contact as well.
Yeah. And the other thing is, Tom will put his hand up very firmly and say, no, I was losing it anyway. You know, there you go. So, Ivan Muller, third position. And a Chevrolet clean sweep of the podium. White and blue cars everywhere. In fact, second place is Rob Huff. Huff yet to win a race this season. His teammates rather greedily hogging them all between them. 3 for Ivan, 2 for Alain. And Alain Menu taking win number 2 of the season, win number 19 of his career. So we'll have the Swiss anthem for our race winner and the American anthem for our winning constructor. Pepe Oriola joins them on the podium as the Yokohama Trophy race winner. And the winning constructor Chevrolet being represented on the podium as well. So the winning anthem for our driver, national anthem of Switzerland for Alain Menu.
Mesdames et messieurs, je vous demanderai de vous lever pour l'hymne national de la Suisse. Alain.
And now for the winning constructor Chevrolet, the American anthem.
L'hymne national américain pour le constructeur.
Pas la musique. They just rewinded it.
Well, no time left to play it by the time they found the tape. So there is our winning driver, Alain Menu, and a winning manufacturer, Chevrolet. And incidentally, congratulations to Team Aon and Tom Chilton, 7th place, their first World Touring Car Championship points. So breaking their duck here in perhaps the toughest racetrack they've come to so far, the streets of Marrakech.
You'd think they would have had the American anthem kind of ready to go, wouldn't you? The way the season's panning out so far.
Surprise. It may not have been a surprise. So third place trophy for Ivan Muller. Second place trophy will be presented to Rob Huff. This may be the single least speedy podium I've ever seen in my entire career. However, nonetheless, it's not like we haven't got another 2 races to get through. Good news is it is still dry here in Marrakesh, not hailing like Silverstone or slinging it down with rain like Monza or Spa or everywhere else in Europe apparently. And that is what you call a trophy. Just look at the size of that. Good luck getting that into the overhead locker.
Yeah, let's hope he's not with Ryanair. There's absolutely zero chance he's getting that home.
Now that'll be going into the truck, so somebody is readjusting the T2L, the customs carnet, right now to allow for additional trophies that they didn't bring into the country. And the winning constructor is Chevrolet. Round 5 of the 24-race World Touring Car Championship, the first race here on the streets of Marrakesh. And the Yokohama Trophy race winner, Pepe Oriola, 4th overall. As Ben pointed out, as we mentioned earlier, fastest race lap as well, at 1 minute 44.6. His best, 1 minute 44.7 of Ivan Muller was the best of the Chevys. James Nash's car makes a sorry sight on the flatbed as it finally gets taken back to the pits. I wonder what the decision is going to be at Team Aon.
Yeah, I mean, if it isn't upright, depending on how quickly they can whack it on, so to speak, they'll have all the tracking equipment which will allow them to do it quickly. They'll have paddles made up, which are especially for this kind of thing to happen. And if they can do it quickly enough, then they might just be able to do it in the repair time. But it's a bit of a gamble that you start doing these things because they can't look at the car before the actual repair time starts. They might start taking things off and realising there's more damage. And if that is the case, then that could be a bit of a nightmare for them.
Confirmation there of the drivers' point standings after the first of our 2 races here on the streets of Marrakesh, Morocco. And still waiting for a decision over the investigation on Franz Engstler. Let's hear though from our race winner, Alain Menu.
Alain, you talked about the challenge of the track yesterday, so how easy was it to control the race?
I would not say it's easy. It's never easy to control such a race. It's very competitive, and I had my 2 teammates behind. But it's always, for sure, easier to lead a race. And I was just making sure under every braking, I was not losing necessarily much time, but I was braking a little bit early, but less. To control braking and make sure not to make any mistakes. So that's a privilege of someone leading. We can afford to do that.
And the momentum really seems to be with you at the moment. What are your hopes for race 2? You'll be starting in the middle of the pack.
I have no idea. I haven't even thought about it. But yeah, I start 10, so it's going to be a tough one. My goal is just to get as many points as I can.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, again, you've got to try and avoid everybody else's incidents, haven't you? Alain Menu will know that as well as everybody else. But a race 1 win, you can't argue with that. Did exactly what he wanted to do. Rob Huff taking 2nd place.
Rob, congratulations, 2nd, equaling your best result of the season. After the start, you fell into line. So was there really no chance to pass?
Yeah, I mean, here on the street circuits it's very difficult. We wanted the 1, 2, 3, and we did a great job. So we're very pleased with that. A good haul of points so far for the weekend. Race 2 is going to be tough, but I just want to say congratulations to Mark and Sam for the arrival of Little Tyler this week. So well done, guys.
We can dedicate your podium to them. How important is it to be back up there, spraying the champagne?
Yeah, really good. We need some good results now to really kick the season off and try and catch Ivan up. There's a few points back, but obviously he's ahead of us in race 2. So we'll do our best, but just need to keep scoring them all-important points.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Congratulations on the new arrival. Sam probably did more work there. Ivan Muller in 3rd position, and the championship leader keeps his advantage, but it is shrinking little by little as Alain Menu makes big inroads. Let's hear from Ivan Muller.
Alain, of the 3 drivers, you seem to have the most hassle at the start. You really need to be aggressive into that first braking zone with Pepe right beside you.
Yeah, absolutely. He did a great start, and I had to brake late on the first corner, but my 2 teammates was ahead of me, so I couldn't brake so late. And then for the second corner, it was a big fight between Oriola and Cornell, and Cornell gave me a big hit. So I was a bit worried for my rear bumper and my exhaust, but was fine. I could defend my 3rd place.
And then, of course, you sat behind your two teammates, but then Pepe stepped up the pace at the end as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He was pushing hard all the way through. I was watching him on my mirror, and I could see he was driving as fast as he could, cutting the chicane. So that's why on the front we couldn't slow down.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Well, great to see the youngest driver on the grid still piling the pressure on, and again indication that this new engine in the Seat is really working well. It's starting to put the Chevys under pressure, and that's what the championship needs, not perhaps what Muller wanted in his mirrors. A young 17-year-old hot shoe with the fastest lap coming up behind on the last couple of laps. But Pepe Oriola now has a 7-point advantage atop the Yokohama Trophy standings from Stefano D'Aste, Norbert Mikulits, Franz Hengstler, Alex Medal slipping 24 points off the lead that he held at Monza now. So he needs something a little bit better out of race 2 as well. You can see the other competitors in the Yokohama Trophy standings. Well, we'll still wait to see what happens about Franz Hengstler. Pretty certain that he will be investigated for that impact with James Nash in race 1 that put Nash out. And well, my general rule of thumb is if you ruin somebody else's race by mistake or by intent, you generally should have your race ruined as well. Whether the stewards hold to that, who knows. Don't forget, second race still to come on the streets of Marrakech, and we have AutoGP cars coming out onto the track as well now for those watching across Europe. For the meanwhile though, Alain Menu will enjoy a taste of success, winning his second race in a row for Chevrolet, and we will get ready for race 2 here in Marrakech. We'll see you then, live from Morocco.